We are a family of 4. Our daughter is 15, and then our son Cameron is 12 and a half, and he's the one that was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy back in 2016. It took us a little while to figure out what the diagnosis was for Cameron, and it was probably the worst experience, low points in our lives as parents for Lindsay and I, because we didn't know what to do.
My name is Liesel, and my husband and I live in Danville with, we have 3 daughters, Devaney, Brooklyn, and Whitney. And our youngest daughter, Whitney, was diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome in 2016.
I'm Court, and this is Annabelle. We have a little girl named Scarlett. She's 5 years old, just turned 5 in August, and she has nephrotic syndrome.
We've gone through a couple of different variations of what we thought the journey might look like, starting with, hopefully this is just one relapse. We'll shock her with some steroids and everything will be fine, and to the next step of the journey, which we're in right now, which is managing relapses as they happen, and being hopeful that we can continue to fight it with the ongoing medication.
So our family consists of the 2 of us and our daughter, who's 23, and our son, who's 20. Our daughter was diagnosed in 2005, right before she turned 4. And we went through many years of struggling with the diagnosis and feeling alone. And through all that struggles, then in 2012, our son was also diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome, which was apparently unheard of at the time. And our nephrologist was very surprised and couldn't believe it. And so the struggle continued.
My name is Bob, and Michelle is my wife, and we have a son named Jordan and a son named Jacob. And Jordan, he developed nephrotic syndrome when he was 19. It was kind of difficult at times, and eventually he did pass from nephrotic syndrome, but we're here to tell our story.
Jordan was he was quiet, he was very, very sweet. He and his brother had such an incredible relationship, and one thing I will say is that they never fought like siblings typically do. They were just each other's best friends, and very special bond and relationship.
So we are a family of 5. We have 3 children. Our oldest are a sophomore in college, a freshman in college, and then we have Karis.
I'm Karis, and I'm a freshman in high school. Outside of school, I like to play flag football, soccer, and I also do swim. I was diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome in 2017. When I was younger, I didn't realize that I'd gained like 13 pounds in a few days. I didn't really realize that, but as I gotten older and I was in middle school, I realized wow, why do I look different from a lot of people? And I noticed all the outfits I wanted to wear, I couldn't because I was so overweight, water weight. So I think definitely the hardest part was thinking I couldn't fit in with everyone because of the way I looked. But through that, I kind of found my way through how I look, and just wearing baggy clothes and just being well, it's winter, that works out.
I think probably the hardest thing is just seeing your own child suffer. Yeah. I think that's the absolute hardest, right? Is you just want to fix. When the kids were little and they fell on your knee, you kissed it and you put a Band-Aid on and it was done. And the journey with nephrotic syndrome just has so many ups and downs, and every day can bring something new.
I would think the most pivotal time that stands out for me during this journey is probably having then my son diagnosed and trying to figure out how do we deal with both kids at slightly different ages and slightly different areas of their lives, and both of them coming to terms with the disease. He struggles a little bit more, and that's one of the things we've learned is no kid is the same. And even related siblings, right? One responds to medication X and the other one doesn't respond to that one at all. And so you got to try Y and Z and keep, trying all these different things. And so we're still working with him quite a bit on it, but it's a battle, and we're willing to fight.
Initially, everything was new. Seeing the physical symptoms, when she would have a relapse, the physical manifestations of the medicine that she was on. And so those are the challenges, because we're always trying to protect her.
I think the one thing that's hard early on was that this was a journey with no destination. And it's still something we work through today, is that it's hard because we want to get to that destination, which is a cure. And I think that's what we're... And that's what we're all hoping for. But I can't control that. What I can control is how we continue to live our lives. I think because we were so alone for so long and undereducated, not educated at all in the process and in the disease and any of that, discovering a place that you can go to, not just for support, but also for knowledge and education, at that time for us meant more than anything else, because it allowed us at least an opportunity to do something for our son.
So NSF for our family was just exactly what I was looking for. Trying to look for things online did not give me any hope at all. It was very discouraging, and so I gratefully was connected with Andy and NSF with a backpack of hope. And from that moment forward, I just knew with her and her knowledge and experience with this that our family was going to be okay.
You feel like nobody's going to advocate for your child the way that you will as a parent. You know, doctors are wonderful, and of course, I hope they all mean well and are giving us the best advice, but to speak to a parent that has been through it is something entirely different. And just to know that people here have been through that before and what that experience might be like if we even have to cross that bridge helps us sleep at night.
I would say a positive throughout my journey is definitely being able to help with the Nephrotic Syndrome Foundation, which everything it does for me, I love helping give back to them.
I think that it's been such a light for Karis to really have a venue to, share her voice and to share her story. And I hate to say that everything happens for a reason, but I think so many of the qualities that Karis has and the leadership and her confidence to get out in front and share her story is going to change the trajectory of her life and where she wants to go. She's talked about, hey, when I'm older, I want to run a nonprofit and I want to support others. And I don't think that would have been something that would have been an aspiration if she hadn't gone through this journey.
Our hope is that together, if we continue to work, we can do even more for these families. Without us, they don't have any place to go for support. There is no other organization out there that does what we do and that supports them.
Scarlett just got her backpack of hope, which was such a wonderful experience. She's 5 years old, so she's just now getting to the point where she's even understanding that there's a reason we're doing these urine tests and there's a reason she's taking medication. So for her now to be at the age where she's feeling the support of the foundation as well, I think up until very recently, it was more support for him and myself. Now it's evolving into more support for her.
My daughter, had an opportunity to help with some of the initial support groups for kids, and I know that was very meaningful to her to be able to express herself and take a leadership role. And then for us, as we met the parents and went to, I think, one of the first camps that NSF had created, and my daughter presented as one of the mentors there and participate in some of the activities.
And just for the kids to have a place to go where they could be outdoors and do these great activities and just feel seen, feel heard, feel like they're a part of a community. It was unbelievable for that. I just feel like all that really helps strengthen and give them kind of like faith and hope in something.
I've got a great favorite program at NSF, and it's Backpacks of Hope. Absolutely love it. I remember when Karis got hers, just the blanket, the things that come with it, the coloring, the cleaning supplies, you name it, that is there for her, and she really felt at comfort with that. And I love putting them together, and I love seeing all the pictures of the families. And you put this together with love and care, and then it gets shipped off to them all over the world. I think it is awesome, and I love it later when you see the people opening them and you send out photos, and just the joy on their face is just unmatchable.
When I got that backpack of hope, everything inside it made me feel so special. Just being able to be like, oh my gosh, like people like care about me, like it was just incredible being able to get that.
Every time we've walked away from any of our experiences with NSF, I've always just walked away with just feeling like there's hope on the other side. And really, my daughter now is 17. Over those years, I couldn't have gotten through those years without NSF.
It's the connections when we go to an event, when we go to the family event before the golfing event. When we had a little bit of an episode with Cameron, I want to say it was probably about 2 years ago now. We actually called one of the doctors we met at the golf event the Sunday before. So it provides us with a ton of resources.
I think when we first found out our story, I felt like, oh, let's just keep this really private. This is our thing. I don't want people to feel bad for us. And so we probably spent the first year or two keeping it a really private story. And I think once we were able to get out there and share our story and have Karis be involved, then we felt like we were part of a community and that we weren't alone.
Whoever is going through it, about to go through it, it will be the same for you. The first years and 2 years will be very difficult. I think it's something that you kind of have to wrap yourself around mentally and physically and emotionally. But once you identify organizations and people and then a support system and a network, we'll all get through it. Somehow, hell or high water, we're going to get through it.
I'd say if I had advice to give, I would suggest people lean into the resources a little sooner.
Yeah.
I was in denial and I waited.
I think of anything other than thank you. Thank you to the Nephrotic Syndrome Foundation. Thank you to Andy for being the guiding light that she is.
Agreed.